Well, good afternoon, everybody. I think if you have the headphones, you could put them on. Yeah, awesome. Okay, you guys can all hear me? Okay. Well, great. Well, welcome, everyone. Thank you for taking the time this afternoon to come and listen to me talk. Has anyone ever been to a silent dance party? You have? Yeah. This is like the same thing, except no one's moving. So periodically, can you just do this? And then, anyway. Well, my name is Michael Affronti. I'm the Vice President of Product at Fuze, based in our New York City office. Fuze is a unified collaboration company, a unified communication company, and we build a really awesome set of collaboration products that I'll talk a little bit about today. Prior to joining Fuze, I worked at a startup called Contactive in New York City. We built a big data platform that did some really great things with caller ID that I'll talk to you guys about in a second. And prior to Contactive, I spent about a decade at Microsoft at headquarters in Seattle, Washington, ironically working on Lync, Skype for Business, Yammer, and SharePoint. So I've been most of my career in the unified communications and collaboration space. So before I talk about Fuze and some of the research that we've done around our product development, I wanted to talk to you a bit about Contactive. So Contactive was a startup that we were running with some friends in New York City, and our scenario was pretty simple. You get a lot of missed calls from numbers that you don't know. So what Contactive did was intercepted your incoming calls, and then in about a second and a half, it took the number, sent it up to our cloud platform, and using a bunch of machine learning algorithms, tried to figure out who the number was based on basically crawling the open internet. So in this scenario, instead of just seeing 718 calling me, I actually see that it's my Supercuts salon calling to confirm an appointment. And not only did I see that it's Supercuts, but I see their Google Places information, as well as their Yelp rating. So the idea was to supercharge every call that you receive. And what was really interesting was we talked with a lot of our consumers and they said, hey, if you can plug enterprise data into this platform, it would be great to see when there is a Salesforce contract open with the person calling me, or when there is Zendesk information, or perhaps an open ticket. So that was how we started talking with Fuze and initially combined the platforms to bring our intelligence to the calls you made on the Fuze global network. But what I'd actually like to talk about with Contactive is not so much what we built, but how we built it. So our team was about 20 people scattered across 3 different time zones. And that's a picture of our office in Soho that we rented from a failing artist who couldn't afford the rent on his office. So that was where our team first started. We didn't have a director of IT. Our director of IT was technically our co-founder who just made sure that our Amazon Web Service instance was running correctly. So the way that we worked was really just getting any app we could to make our jobs move faster because we had a burn rate and we had runway and we needed to move as fast as possible. One of the things I loved about my job, though, was that my day was so dynamic. So on any given day, I would have a Google Hangout with our designers in Portugal. I would do a Skype chat with my product team. I would do a Join Me session with customers to broadcast our product. I would do a Viber chat with our other designers that were based in California. And then I would use WhatsApp to talk to my CEO throughout the day, depending on if I was traveling or not. So has anyone done anything like this with this smattering of tools? Yep. I did all of this on my personal Mac laptop, my MacBook Air, and on my personal iPhone. Those are the same devices that I used every day to communicate with my friends and family. I also worked from anywhere. So my job often took me to meetings all across the country, and I would work from airport lounges, cabs, and my most notorious story was when I spent 2 weeks hiking in the Amazon jungle. I met a really friendly parrot named Roger, and he would sit on my shoulder during conference calls, and I have a bunch of really funny Skype pictures like that. But my point is that I worked from everywhere, and I didn't care about where my office was. I just needed to be able to talk to my coworkers. But has anyone ever felt like that? Yep. All the Fuze folks are raising their hand in support. Thank you. There were all these random pain points that I felt every day that I kind of glossed over. There was no way to search across all the different content. I routinely would go into Skype and invite my coworkers to a chat we were having in Google Hangouts by pasting the link and having everyone come over. So there were all these weird crisscrosses I had to create to make efficiencies in the way I communicated. But I ignored them because I felt efficient. This is my favorite analogy. few years ago, early adopters in most companies acted like me. They sort of used tools like a buffet, and then they would quickly go and try to get their teams to adopt them. This generally created the consumerization of IT movement that we're all very familiar with. But I think what's interesting is that the consumerization of the enterprise has really sort of taken hold, where it's beyond just IT and a few early adopters, and almost everyone is trying to use any tool possible to get their job done faster. So here's some really interesting research that the Fuze team has done. When we talk to people in our industry and in information workers in general, we hear a bunch of interesting stats around the way that they actually want to work. You'll notice things like freedom in the way that they operate in terms of hours and flexibility in terms of geography. These point to a new level of sophistication with the way that information workers think about their job and how they want to communicate and collaborate. Our hypothesis is that this consumerization of the enterprise has passed and that everyone inside of every enterprise is an early adopter. I mean, look at what our users are telling us. Their massive use of things like cloud storage, mobile messaging, and video calling. And in particular, you'll notice the purple bars where when IT blocks something, a spike in the things that are used outside of IT control happen. So users, no matter what you do, are going to try to use the best tools possible to communicate and collaborate. This applies to hardware as well. The laptop that I carry around every day is actually my personal MacBook Air, and 40% of users are bringing their personal iPhones to work every day, as opposed to using a work-sanctioned device. 32% of them are bringing their own laptops to work. And that's true across tablets and personal desktop computers. My favorite story is I was at a manufacturing firm last year talking to them. They were a potential customer. And I asked him to show me what mobile phone they deployed to their users. And he pulls out not one, but two iPhones rubber banded back to back. And the top one was the IT deployed one that was so locked down, he said he barely could use it. So routinely throughout the day, he would flip over to use WhatsApp to talk with his colleagues. I mean, they were literally rubber banded. I couldn't find a picture of it, so that's the closest. But to me, that was sort of the epitome of BYOD mashup against IT control policy. So how do you deal with all of this behavior, with all of this forced change from your users as you're thinking about how to make your workforce more collaborative? I did not create this, I found this, but I think it's a really great graphic. The thing we believe strongly at Fuze is you must listen to your users. The most important thing to do is find out what are they actually using, what tools are they using, and why. We surveyed over 5,000 users in Europe, both adults and teenagers, to find out why they were using the tools and apps that they did. And yet, again, you'll notice the same index of cloud storage, mobile messaging, and video calling, and you'll find that the things that stick out for them are flexibility in the way that they work, a focus on gorgeous, engaging applications, things that are fun to use, and a focus on mobility, text and video chat. So there are some differences between things like adults and teenagers with mobile messaging, as you can see. But if you think about the teenage users as a leading indicator of what's coming into the workforce, they're going to rely more and more on these short-form mobile messaging applications. And this is a theme that speaks really true to me based on my stories earlier from Contactive. It's not that users want to work from their couch and never go into the office. They clearly value FaceTime as very important. But what they also value is the flexibility that if I have to walk across town or go across town for a meeting, if I can't get back to the office in time for my next conference call, it shouldn't be that I'm totally unable to contribute and collaborate in the meeting. So what's amazing with some of the products that Fuze builds is I literally can be in the back of a cab looking at a screen share and then at the same time contributing both video and audio. Those are the types of experiences that become critically important for the agile mobile worker. So we have a lot of data from 5,000 people, and we looked at some of the macro trends that they exhibit, and then are trying to understand how those actually are going to impact the product roadmap for Fuze. The first is clearly that app fatigue is setting in. This was a picture from a few years ago that Apple created to illustrate how big the App Store has gotten. And what we hear from users is that, yes, I love going and getting my own applications, but man, there are a lot to choose from, and I'm actually confused about which ones to get. And if you look at small teams within large organizations, it's often the case that teammates will be using different apps for the same purpose because they're so similar and they don't know which ones are the best. I think there's this clear overarching theme that we've heard, and I'm sure this resonates with many of you in your companies, that workers feel, 66% of those surveyed, that workplace technology needs to catch up to what they use every day on their personal devices. 66%, that's a lot of people. I think this is something that the two rubber-banded iPhones really sticks out and calls into relief. Users simply want a single device on every platform. They don't want to have to carry two laptops. They want to be able to take their personal laptop on vacation and check their work mail and not have to VPN in and put a card in and do all this complicated stuff. Yes, there are security implications to that, but users don't want to have to carry around a bunch of devices. I think what's really critical around app acquisition is that it is now so easy, as you all know, to just go to an app store and download an app. So you need to think about, from an IT perspective, how do you make available the apps you want your users to use? I've talked to a few folks on the floor who are actually using mobile deployed app stores, either through the Apple Enterprise Program, Android at Work, or some of the other ones through Mobile Iron. And at least they're starting to see adoption of the apps that the company's putting out because they're made available in the company-controlled app store. So thinking about app acquisition as a part of your IT strategy will be critically important. Another clear thing we're seeing, and I'm sure you all see this, especially if you know or have anyone that's younger in your family, text-based communication will overtake voice. And to be clear, Fuze builds a global voice platform, so I'm not saying voice is going away anytime soon, but in terms of the rapid short-form communication that happens very frequently throughout the day, users will continue to rely even more on mobile messaging applications. The same is true for voice communication. Does anyone ignore their phone when they get a call from a number they don't know and let it go to voicemail? Yeah, okay. For a long time, I had my outgoing voicemail message, and it said, I don't check my voicemail, so if you need me, you must call or text me. And my father doesn't text at all, or at least he didn't when I had this. And I finally got him showing up at my doorstep saying, you have to answer the damn phone at some point. So there's definitely a line that you have to be careful about. But voice communication is certainly going to seed the way towards video, as our teenage users show. They're more and more comfortable with quickly jumping into video and jumping out of it, as opposed to just starting a call. This is one I'll touch on as I talk a bit about what we're building at Fuze. I think I'm fascinated by what we can do with the personalization of technology. You know, it used to be that the joke with building enterprise software when I was back at Microsoft in the early 2000s was, what color should we make it? And it was just, well, pick a gray, right? The software was cookie cutter. It was very much designed to work for everybody with very little degree of personalization. I think where we're moving towards is this area where the apps, the more you use them, become more alive. They understand that Michael makes a lot more video calls than I do phone calls, so maybe parts of the UI change. Or maybe the platform tells me more useful insights because I'm in marketing versus sales, depending on who I'm talking to. The technology that best suits your users' needs at an individual level will be some of the technology that is adopted most broadly. And again, the last trend I think that sticks out from our research is that work in the future will be, and I love this phrase, something that you do, not something that you go to. And while that may not be true for all workers, if you're in manufacturing, you need to physically go to the plant. But for information workers, for knowledge workers, this idea that you can work from anywhere while still having a central office, I think is really powerful. Okay, so this is a ton of research we've done. We've had some really interesting conversations with our customers. You know, what are we doing at Fuze? I own our product roadmap and a majority of our product development. Like, what am I doing to interpret this and build this into our product? So first I'm going to talk about Netflix. Netflix is one of my favorite companies, both as a consumer. Is anyone a House of Cards fan? Yep, okay. I love the programming that Netflix has put out. I've been a member since back when they used to mail you DVDs. But at an engineering level, Netflix is a fascinating company. This is Netflix, the homepage back in early 2004. And this was the webpage as of about 6-7 months ago. And you'll see what a an amazing change it went from being this sort of representation of a VHS rental store to this beautifully cinematic experience. So we have some good friends on the Netflix team, and we've had some great conversations around their development. Last year, they did over 1,200 A/B tests on their user experience, their codecs, their delivery platform, and the way that even their customer service works. They have top-line KPIs that are matched across the company to understand, are they driving up total watch time per user? And that's important because the more someone's watching Netflix, theoretically, the more enjoyable of an experience they're having, and the longer they'll stay as a customer. So why am I talking about this? Consumer companies do a fantastic job of being data-driven in the way they build their products. So one of the benefits of getting acquired by Fuze last year is that we brought the entire Contactive team into Fuze. And with it, our passion and our love for data-driven product design. So unlike a traditional enterprise company, or like some of the older ones I should say, at Fuze, we use data in every decision that we make and the way that we build our products. On the left, you'll see a bunch of rapid design prototypes we did to test color palettes for different users across some of our new applications. And this includes not just the colors, but iconography, size of the buttons, and on mobile apps, how far are the primary buttons from the right edge of the screen? Because if I'm right-handed and trying to use my app with one hand, if I have to get all the way over here, that may be too difficult. So we think about everything from the topology of the app all the way down to button placement. On the right, we use Mixpanel, which is the industry standard for user telemetry and applications, to actually figure out what are the aggregate experiences that our users are having. So every Monday morning, our product managers will send out a report that indicate the retention of the individual applications in our deployed customers. It'll talk about average MOS scores for call quality, and any latency issues we're hitting by region to understand where are the problems our users are facing before they realize they're having them. So all of that culminates in our applications and the things that our users experience for the Fuze platform. So as you can see here, I used to use 6 applications to get my job done just for collaboration. With the new Fuze applications, we are taking the best of those individual applications, the best of the original Thinking Phones platform, and the best of the Fuze platform, and bring them together in what we call our U-centric unified experience. HD quality soft phone and voice for making your calls, modern group messaging to have really rich chat back and forth with content, persistent topics and collaboration so you can have group chats inside of your organization. And perhaps most exciting is what we call our Insights panel. So this is an example of talking to my coworker and having the Contactive technology actually in real time reach out over the different databases in my company and tell me key things about my coworker. Because if I work in a large company, it may be the case I don't even know what division they're in. If this was a customer talking to me on a voice call, I would see their most recent Salesforce contracts. I could see things like their most recent activity in Mixpanel to understand what experience are they having with the product that morning, and I'm talking to them that afternoon. The idea that you have to do some large sets of queries that take a while to understand your user behavior is a thing of the past. With Contactive and the tech we've built into the Fuze platform, every communication you have, voice, video, and text, you have more insights and you should theoretically be way more productive. So to wrap up, we've done a ton of research over the last couple of months to understand these large-scale macro trends around what users are doing in the workplace. We've tried really hard to understand the things they think they need out of collaboration tools and the things they want out of the tools they use to be productive. And we've put them together into the Fuze Unified Collaboration Platform to have these wonderful pillars of audio, video, and web layered upon this single app for conferencing, this great insights layer that we have that delivers all the relevant insights. And the last thing is this single global platform. And I'll talk just briefly about that, and then I'll take some questions. The thing that's really unique about the Fuze platform that makes it very exciting for the way we've built it is that the entire global cloud platform is single, meaning as an application developer inside of one of our customers, or even my own application developers, they are writing to a single set of APIs to a common UI language. All of it is the same product, which makes it so that we can iterate really fast using our data, but more importantly, it makes it so that the apps can be very customized to both your organization and also to the individual users. So this is a powerful part of our Fuze platform that really comes to life in the individual applications. So I know I packed a lot of content into about 21 minutes based on what the sign told me in the back, but I wanted to provide a few minutes to have questions from the audience, and I'm happy to answer anything about our research, about the way that we build our products, or even our products themselves. So please take this opportunity and ask anything you may be wondering about Fuze. Any questions? No? Okay. Oh, question in the back. Great. I have to put. Hold on. What's that? Oh, hold on. I think we have a question in the back, and then we'll come up front. That's okay.
Quick question on video at scale. Do you do one-to-many, or is it strictly collaboration?
Sure. Okay. Can you guys all hear that question? Okay, great. So, so we do one-to-one and one-to-many. We support up to 250 people on audio inside of a conference room, a virtual conference room, and up to 12 people on HD video. Yep. Oh, sorry, you had a question? Yep. Hold on, they're going to bring a mic over.
Hi. We've seen a lot of people talking about collaboration and integration with Salesforce, but not much with CRM. Is that capable of integration with CRM and pulling that information back out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so the question was around CRM integration. So you're talking about generic CRM integration besides Salesforce? Yep. So the Contactive platform, going back to the fact, the Fuze platform, going back to it being a single global platform, we have a number of ways to integrate different data sources into our Insights UI. So we have simple webhooks that you can use to do a basic data callback to pull just basic directory information out of your CRM and show it, all the way through interactive writebacks if you want to log calls or push notes out of our UI back into the CRM. So we have a hub and spoke model. You just give us the CRM and we build the integration to it.